I did a bad thing. Not really a bad thing, but maybe more bad etiquette. Let me explain. Hey, it's just Carlo, and we are at it again, out geocaching, talking about geocaching, and today I'm talking about trackables, and specifically about geocaching etiquette. When you find a geocache, sometimes there's trackables inside it. For the uninitiated, trackables are items that are intended to be moved from one geocache to another. Trackables come in many different shapes, many different sizes, forms, from coins to keychains to toys, or maybe they're little tags attached to another item. And each trackable has a unique code that is registered on the geocaching website. That code, that number, allows them to be discovered by players. When you find one and you log it in the app or on the website, you add a step in that trackable's journey and you can follow its progress online. Trackable owners set goals for their trackables, so when they register it for the first time and before they release it out into the world, they can set a goal. And the geocaching community helps with that goal, helps with that mission for it to keep moving. So a common goal for a trackable might be to travel as far and wide as possible to as many caches as possible, and some might be a little bit more specific. They might have missions like reaching the highest peak in a region, or it's to cross the country and reach one ocean to the other, visiting geocaches along the way. And because a trackable has a goal to travel, you're supposed to keep them moving from one cache to the next. You're not really supposed to hold on to them for a long time. There are no strict rules for how long to keep a trackable. As a guideline, it's just good etiquette to keep them only for a few days. Even on the website, it says a couple weeks. That way, you help keep it moving along its journey, and other geocachers can discover that trackable as well. And that brings us to our trackable troubles. So back in 2001,
2021.
we went camping to ílwətaʔ, a small coastal town located on the west side of Vancouver Island. We did some geocaching there, of course. We picked up a trackable in a rusty old ammo can. Now back then we were still fairly new to geocaching. We'd only been doing it for just a few months. And this trackable happened to be one of the very first ones that we ever found. So the trackable was named the Three Sisters Caching Bear Travel Bug, and it was sent on a mission by a geocacher named Honda Girl 2006 to visit specific geocaches in Canada and in the United States. Now, Honda Girl 2006 is based in Nova Scotia, which is more than 5,500 kilometers away from us on the other side of Canada, out on the Atlantic side. And that means that little caching bear had traveled a long way already between Nova Scotia and all these different caches to get to the Pacific coast. We wanted to keep moving it along, so we brought it back to our campsite, and then we lost it. When you pick up a trackable, you're supposed to log it in the app. You're supposed to discover it. That helps to inform others, and it especially helps to inform the trackable owner that you have it and that you're helping to move it along. We didn't do that right away. We didn't note down the code, the name of the trackable, name of the cache owner, so there was no way for us to even make contact with them. And I felt pretty bad. We lost it for a little over 6 months until March of 2022. So we were preparing to travel again, and we were sorting through all of our gear, and lo and behold, there it was among some of our camping gear. So I finally entered a log that we had found it, that we had picked it up. And because we had lost it for so long, I had contacted the trackable owner and wrote a letter apologizing for holding on to it for so long, and that we would get it moving. We would help get it moving again. We'd find a nice cache to leave it in for somebody else to pick up. After all this, I realized 6 months isn't even that long. And in the grand scheme of things, losing a trackable is not a huge deal. I've talked to other geocachers, one in particular who said that they lost a trackable for years just in their basement. And some trackables, they just simply go missing. In the grand scheme of things, I think losing it for 6 months, maybe not that big of a deal. But still, at that time, we were new to geocaching. We felt pretty bad. We wanted to, demonstrate good geocaching etiquette. and it's nice to play with integrity and respect. I didn't want someone out there worrying about where the trackable was or that it had gone missing because of me. I didn't need that weight on my shoulders. So as it turns out, Haunted Girl 2006 was coming to British Columbia for GeoWoodstock 18, which took place in August of 2022. And since we were attending GeoWoodstock, we thought, why don't we meet up? So we arranged to meet so that I can get the caching bear back and reunited with its owner. In the meantime, before GeoWoodstock, we took that little caching bear on more of our adventures. We went around the lower mainland, down to Astoria and Seaside in Oregon, and we even brought it back to Ucluelet, where we initially picked it up when we went to go visit there again. And then on the day of GeoWoodstock, we met up with Haunted Girl 2006, or Darlene, and she was really nice, and she had been geocaching since 2006, and she even introduced us to Ken, who goes by the name East River. He happens to be the person who hid Canada's very first geocache out in Nova Scotia. So what a cool opportunity to meet these veteran cachers, all thanks to this little trackable item that we picked up a year before. All part of this game, this quirky little hobby that we love playing. I'm also going to be traveling to the Maritimes to attend a mega event, the Maritime Mega 5. And that's taking place in Fredericton, New Brunswick. And after that, we'll be traveling to PEI and Nova Scotia. Hopefully when we are in Nova Scotia, we can find Canada's oldest cache. So let me get back to the trackables. So I wanted to kind of correct the course for this caching bear after we had lost it for so long, for good karma, you know? Even though we haven't sent out any trackables yet, we probably will someday. I'd like to keep track of those. And who knows, maybe one day you'll find one of our trackables out there in the world while you're geocaching. But until that day, thanks for watching, keep curious, and keep caching.